the Speaker of the House, together with Jane Mensah. They are on the floor as we speak. We can now cross you over to Parliament. We're getting some live feed there of the EC chairperson who's ready to address the nation on what the fate of the Ghana card would be, and martyrs arising from the use of that CI. So let's cross you over now.
Making noise. And I'll apply the cane. Yes, Chairperson, you may go on now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Good afternoon, Right Honourable Speaker of Parliament, Honourable Majority Leader, Honourable Minority Leader, the leadership of the House, Honourable Members of Parliament, friends of the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I thank the good Lord for making it possible for my team and I to be here this afternoon. To God be all the glory. To God be all the glory. It is an honor to be here representing the Electoral Commission of Ghana. And my team and I are pleased that we have been invited to share our views on the draft CI that is a subject matter of our discussion today, as well as to answer any questions that may ensue. Right Honourable Speaker, as you may be aware, I was out of the jurisdiction at the time when the invitation was received from Parliament. I was attending to an invitation by the ECONEC for a peer exchange and election observer mission in Nigeria when your invitation to the Commission was received. Indeed, your letter was received on Wednesday, the 22nd of February, requesting for a meeting the following day, that is Thursday, the 23rd of February 2023. In fact, had I been aware of the meeting, I would have rescheduled the mission. In this vein, I would like to use this opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to correct the erroneous impression that I have failed to honor the invitation of Parliament. For the records, this is the third time the Electoral Commission has been invited to a meeting of the whole House. The first was immediately preceding the 2020 election, and I led my team and presented a report on our readiness for the election. The second was the meeting of last week, when I was out of the jurisdiction, attending to an invitation by the ECONEC. Today marks the third time we have received an invitation to address the full House, and I'm here in my capacity as God's servant and the chairperson of the Electoral Commission. I'm here in my capacity as God's servant and the chairperson of the Electoral Commission to lead my team and to present our justification for the draft CI, which is the subject matter of our deliberations today. Mr. Speaker, the CI before Parliament seeks to promote the continuous registration of voters and advocates for an all-year-round registration of eligible voters at the district offices of the Electoral Commission. It is a clear departure from the previous system where the voters' registration was done for a limited period. Like its name, under the limited voters' registration exercise, the registration of new voters was only conducted for a limited period. It was not all year round. As such, persons who turned 18 years old after the registration period, as well as persons who had not previously registered to vote, could not do so when the time set aside for the limited registration, usually 3 to 4 weeks, elapsed. Under our new CI, anyone who is eligible to vote can simply walk into any of our district offices in the district where he or she intends to vote and register to vote. As indicated, this is a far departure from the previous limited registration exercise, where a person could not register, where a person who could not register had to wait for the next round of the limited registration exercise before he or she could be registered to vote. Honorable members, permit me to restate that the main advantage of the continuous registration exercise is that potential voters can register at any time of their choosing once the exercise begins. Interested persons who had not previously or who have not previously registered and qualified to vote will be able to register at their leisure and with ease, because it will be an all-year-round activity. As such, applicants will not be confronted with the long queues and frustrated crowds and possible conflicts that may lead to violence. We are equally confident that the continuous registration exercise will minimize the busing of prospective applicants to the registration centers and thereby lead to an orderly, conflict-free process. I must add, honorable members of Parliament, that for the first time in our history, we are mainstreaming the continuous registration of voters as part of our regular activities. As such, our officers in the field will be fully engaged all year round. Mr. Speaker, another significant feature of this draft constitutional instrument is the proposal to adopt the Ghana card as the sole source of identification for any person who wishes to register as a voter. This implies that the guarantor system, which hitherto allowed a registered voter to vouch for the citizenship and age of prospective applicants, will no longer be relied upon as part of our registration exercise. The reason is that over the years, the guarantor system has presented us with several challenges. Unfortunately, we were unable to discard it much earlier due to the absence of a national identification card such as the one issued by the NIA. The challenges with the guarantor system are twofold. First of all, it opens the door for registered voters or guarantor contractors to guarantee and vouch for persons who are less than 18 years old. Secondly, it allows these guarantors to vouch for persons who are not citizens of Ghana. Such unqualified persons, usually minors and foreigners, use the door of the guarantor system to try to get onto our register. Mr. Speaker, it is important to note that to rid the register of minors and foreigners in the year 2020, the Electoral Commission established the District Registration Review Committees, which worked for several days and weeks in all districts to expunge the names of minors and foreigners from the register. We were able to successfully expunge close to 40,000 minors and foreigners from the register during the registration exercise. It has been argued that this number is not significant, but we beg to differ, and we refute the argument and state that one unqualified person on our roll is one too many. In short, it is possible to have these 40,000 legal persons determine the future of our dear country, and collectively, we must not allow this. I must add that the work of the District Registration Review Committee came at a huge cost to the nation. It was unnecessary, wasteful, and time-consuming. As a country, we should not continue along this route. Truth be told, Mr. Speaker, the guarantor system was not the best under any circumstances, but we did not have other options since a significant number of persons eligible to register did not possess the Ghana card at the time of registration in 2020. Even then, we had some 10 million Ghanaians using the Ghana card to back their citizenship in 2020. Today, we are reliably informed that some 16 million Ghanaians in possession of the Ghana card, and with NIA's today we are reliably informed that 16 million Ghanaians are in possession of the Ghana card. And with NIA's assurance that it will print and distribute the remaining cards to registrants in a matter of weeks, we do not believe that we will be disenfranchising persons by enforcing the policy requirement of using the Ghana card to prove one's eligibility. The use of the Ghana card as the sole means of identification, Mr. Speaker, will prevent foreigners and minors from getting onto our voters' register. More especially, it will prevent unqualified persons from influencing our elections and having a say as to who should govern our country. This is an issue that borders on the sovereignty of our nation. Simply put, only eligible Ghanaians must be entitled to vote. And we call on our honorable members to support our efforts to prevent foreigners and minors from getting onto our electoral roll. Honorable members, using the Ghana card as the main source document for the continuous registration, by using the Ghana card as the main source of documentation for the continuous registration, the Electoral Commission will be conforming to the legislative instrument passed by Parliament, namely the National Identity Register Regulations 2011, Legislative Instrument 2111. Regulation 71 states that a national identity card issued to an individual shall be used for a number of transactions where identification is required. Indeed, one of the mandatory transactions stated in Regulation 71 is the registration of voters. As such, Parliament, by its own assent, legitimized the Ghana card as the sole document to prove one's citizenship. Mr. Speaker, as mentioned earlier, although the Ghana card was not the only required document to prove a person's eligibility in 2020, at the end of the exercise, over 60%, or about 10 million of registered voters, used the Ghana card as their main source of identification. This means that 2 years ago, some 10 million Ghanaians registered with the Ghana card. Today, we are reliably informed that over 60 million Ghanaians have been issued with the Ghana card, and that about 17 million Ghanaians in total have registered for the Ghana card. On the strength of these numbers, we are confident that the 1.5 million applicants we are expecting to register by the end of 2013 are likely to already possess the Ghana card. Relying on the 2021 census report, Mr. Speaker, relying on the 2021 census report and per our own estimates, we are likely to register between 450,000 and 550,000 Ghanaians every year. We believe that the 17 million people that the NIA has registered, we believe that of the 17 million persons that the NIA has registered, it is likely that the 450, we believe, Mr. Speaker, that of the 17 million persons that the NIA has registered, it is highly probable that the 450 to 550 persons we intend to register annually already have the card as we speak. Mr. Speaker, with the NIA assurance that it will commence its card issuance in a matter of weeks, we encourage those who do not have the card to begin the process of acquiring the card to enable them register as voters. The NIA has its registration centers across the districts and the regional capitals, and therefore accessing their facilities will not be a challenge. Additionally, since the card is acquired at the age of 15, we encourage any Ghanaian who will turn 18 in 2023 and 2024 and who is interested in voting in the country's election to visit the nearest NIA registration center and register for the Ghana card to enable him or her also register as a voter when he or she becomes eligible. It is important to note that all those who registered in 2020 are not part of this registration exercise because all their details, including their biometric features, are intact. This registration is for those who did not take part in the 2020 registration exercise and for those who have turned 18 years since the last voters registration exercise in 2020. As an institution, the Electoral Commission remains committed to reforms aimed at strengthening the integrity of its processes. We believe that the elimination of the guarantor system from our registration process will be a catalyst for a further deepening of the integrity and credibility of our register and ultimately our elections as a whole. Reforms instituted by the Commission over the years, Mr. Speaker, have aimed at strengthening and tightening our electoral process and have ensured its credibility and integrity. In 2012, for instance, we replaced our manual voters register with a biometric register. This engendered confidence and trust in our register and in our electoral process as a whole. Ahead of the 2020 election, we introduced the facial recognition function in addition to the fingerprint verification. This ensured that over 99% of voters were electronically verified. Similarly, Mr. Speaker, the adoption of transparent boxes instead of opaque boxes, the issuance of photo ID cards instead of thumbprint ID cards, and the removal of the names of those who enrolled on our register using the National Health Insurance Card are all part of reforms that have tightened and strengthened our processes and ensured the credibility of our elections. Today, Ghana can boast of a transparent and credible elections because of Mr. Speaker, today Ghana can boast of transparent and credible elections Mr. Speaker, today Ghana can boast of transparent and credible elections because of the incremental reforms that have been implemented. Indeed, our electoral process is at par with that of the most advanced democracies in the world. Honorable members, it is in this vein that we urge you to support the decision of the EC to rely on the Ghana card as the main source of identification for those who wish to register as voters. Our country has evolved, and it is important that our electoral processes also evolve to meet the exigencies of the times. Permit me to state again that in 1992, when we had no ID card, we adopted the guarantor system. Today, 30 years on, we cannot continue to rely on a system that is fraught with challenges. More so when we have a credible system in the form of the National Identification Card. Mr. Speaker, Before I end, I would like to emphasize that this constitutional instrument and its provisions are not aimed at disenfranchising eligible Ghanaians. The continuous registration process, on the contrary, will be inclusive and participatory, and it will make it possible to capture all those who would otherwise have been excluded in a limited registration exercise. The continuous registration exercise, Mr. Speaker, unlike the previous limited registration exercises, will be continuous, like its name states. As such, anyone who has a Ghana card can simply walk into any of our offices and get registered. The exercise is not periodic or a limited one that could lead to disenfranchising persons who do not possess the Ghana card. It is an all-year-round activity. As such, a person who does not have the Ghana card today can acquire it tomorrow and simply walk into a district office where he or she intends to vote and register. Mr. Speaker, it is important to rehash that the use of the Ghana card as the sole means of identification will ensure and guarantee the credibility and integrity of our register and our elections. It will prevent the enrollment of minors on the register. It will prevent foreigners from being registered to vote, and it will eliminate the guarantor system, which is prone to abuse and which promotes conflict and violence. Additionally, it will prevent costly, time-consuming, tedious follow-up exercises by the district registration review committees established nationwide. Finally, Mr. Speaker, by using the Ghana card as the sole source of identification, the EC will be conforming to Regulation 7.1 of the legal instrument passed by Parliament, the National Identity Register Regulations, LI 2111, which states that the national identity card shall be used for a number of transactions where identification is required, including the registration of voters. Mr. Speaker, the NIA has assured us that as of today, it has received some money to enable it initiate the printing of cards and the registration of voters. We are reliably informed that the NIA has about 3.5 million blank cards in Ghana in a bonded warehouse. We are also reliably informed that monies have been released and more funds are in the process of being released. With this assurance, coupled with the fact that, like the Electoral Commission, the NIA has offices in all the districts and regions, we are confident that our continuous registration exercise will be inclusive, participatory, and robust. We are confident that anybody who qualifies to register will have the opportunity to do so if they so wish. On our part, as the institution mandated by the 1992 Republican Constitution to compile the register of voters and to revise it at such intervals as may be determined by law, we will do everything in our power to register all qualified applicants who wish to register as voters. Our goal is to ensure that no one is left behind. As you may be already aware, or as you know, the EC has a track record in this regard. In 2020, despite concerns raised by the sections of the society that the registration exercise will not be successful, the EC registered over 17 million persons in 38 days in a COVID-19 pandemic and during a registration season. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, as you know, the EC has a
Honourable members, honourable members, honourable members, fortunately, you are known faces. Known faces. So I've taken note of all of you. Honourable Dominic Nitiwol, please, you are a minister, please.
Mr. Speaker, I am protesting. You cannot invite somebody to your house. You can't invite somebody to your house and you stop protesting. It's wrong. Mr. Speaker, why? It's getting too much.
Honourable Murtala Mohammed. Honourable Murtala Mohammed. It has long been ruled in this House that the use of the word shame is unparliamentary. Honourable members, the guests we have here are here in answer to an invitation by this House. The best we can do is to listen to them. At the end of the day, you're given the opportunity to ask questions. Please, again, Honorable Murtala Mohammed, I call on you to withdraw the shame.
Mr. Speaker. Withdraw. With a second.
Yes, honorable member, you may go on.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker. Please. Mr. Speaker, if you direct me to do anything, I'll do that. But I want clarification from you that if I didn't speak into the mic, is it? Hold on. Why are you shouting? This is not a house of emotions. This is a house of records. It is not a house of shouting. And we are all here, and that is why I want the speaker's direction.
Yes.
If I didn't speak into the mic, it doesn't become a statement that is made on record.
Yes.
So if I want your direction.
Yes.
But if it is that I'm withdrawing something that is not captured as a recorded statement I have made,
yes. Nice.
Then I do so because you are the speaker and you are directing me to do so. But you all know that any statement that is made not on the mic, it is not an official statement that is being made. So if you are asking me to withdraw a statement which was not made in the mic, I would want your direction. So Mr. Speaker, I am withdrawing that statement even though it was not captured as an official statement because you are the speaker and you have directed me to do so out of respect and not out of people like you.
Honorable members, we are in a committee meeting. We are not at plenary. We are at a committee meeting. And it's a meeting of the committee of the whole. So it's not official records. What we do at the committee meeting is to take minutes. Please. Committee meetings you don't have to use mic at committee meetings. I can listen to everyone here without the mic. And even though you did not use the mic, I heard you. So you don't have to talk about use of mic. I'm happy you have withdrawn the statement. Please, let's listen to each other. There's enough time for you to raise the issues. Again, please, particularly when you are dealing with the fairer side. All of us, is incumbent on us to do all we can to encourage more women to participate in decision making in this country. All of us. Now, let's listen to the chairperson of the Electoral Commission. You may continue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable members, as you may be aware, or as you may know, the EC has a proven track record in the registration of voters. In 2020, despite concerns raised by sections of the society that the registration exercise will not be successful, the Electoral Commission registered over 17 million persons in 31 days during the COVID-19 pandemic and during the rainy season. This figure represents 55% of our total population of 31 million, a figure that meets international standards for registration. Indeed, with the exception of Cape Verde, which has a population of 600,000, we have the highest number of registrants in West Africa. I must add that it was a seamless and inclusive process, and no one was left out. Yes, we can. To enhance the transparency of our registration process, the political parties may have their agents at the registration centers. Additionally, the Commission will regularly update the citizenry and the political parties about the number of registrants at each district office. Mr. Speaker, I wish to emphasize that the Ghana card will not be used to vote in the 2024 election. The Ghana card is only a requirement to register as a voter. Once you present your Ghana card and successfully register as a voter, you will be issued with a voter's identification card which bears the code of your region, your district, your electoral area, and the name of your polling station. The Ghana card does not have these features, and therefore it will not be used to vote in the 2024 general election. In conclusion, we wish to state that in the exercise of our mandate, we are mindful of Article 42, Article 42 of the Constitution, which enjoins us to register Ghanaians who are 18 years and above and who are of sound mind. We do not intend to disenfranchise persons who qualify to vote. It is in our interest to register them. It will be an antithesis to deny any Ghanaian the right to vote. However, we equally have the responsibility to ensure that only qualified Ghanaians are found in the voters' register. We owe this responsibility to Ghanaians and we will work to uphold that. Mr. Speaker, honorable members of this honorable House, we are grateful for your time and attention. May God bless our homeland Ghana and make our nation great and strong. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, I want to plead with all of you to take note of the points that she has raised. At the appropriate time, we'll allow members to ask questions, raise queries, and then they will respond. We are guided generally by the rules of the House, and so I will invite the National Identification Authority to give us the presentation, because in her submissions she made copious references to the National Identification Authority, some assurances and others. Then after that, the Minister of Finance will come in and I'll open the floor up for members to make comments. With your kind permission, I'll join you there because I also want to see the presentation. Yes, Deputy Minority Whip.
Mr. Speaker, I was just going to make an appeal. If while the NIA people are doing their presentation, if the presentation or the briefing just done by the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, copies can be made to the leaders.
Yes, definitely we'll get a copy of her presentation. It will be part of the report which will be submitted to this House. So please, that will be done.
taking photocopy.
Yes.
So that I'll give you.
Yes, Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, has always been done at the committee level. I think it would be appropriate if the chairperson can share a presentation with us, at least with the leaders, so we can make references when we are contributing to portions of the speech.
Honorable Leader, we have taken a copy of a presentation. It is our duty to make copies available to members, which we are going to do. But it takes time. They have to go and make photocopies. Please. That's what is being done. It's not available now. We have to make the copies and bring. If you allow the chairperson to lose her temper, that's the end of the meeting. Yes, I will join you there, and then Prof will make the presentation. I'm sure the chairperson will also have to at least view what is happening, except Prof himself, who has his laptop in front of him. The rest of us will join you so that we can all observe and learn from the presentation.
Right, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Majority Leader, Honorable Minority Leader, Honorable Members of Parliament, friends of the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I take it again. Right, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Majority Leader, Honorable Minority Leader, Honorable Members of Parliament, friends of the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Governing Board of the National Identification Authority and the management and staff of NIA, I bring you warm greetings and have the honor to make a presentation to this Honorable House on the Ghana Card project, on the National Identification System project being implemented by the National Identification Authority and its technical partners, Identity Management Systems Limited, a subsidiary of the Margins Group of Companies. Right, Honorable Speaker, I will attempt to touch on the mandate of the NIA, some of the contractual and operational framework that governs our work, and the registration statistics as at the 19th of February 2023, being last week, Sunday. And I will also highlight the centrality of the role of a verification system platform that we have created in the work of the NIA in order to enhance data harmonization and integration and to ensure that user agencies such as the Electoral Commission and the Social Security and National Insurance Trust and other agencies are able to rely on the data provided by NIA to serve their diverse statutory purposes. Right, Honorable Speaker, the mandate, just by way of a quick reminder, the mandate of the National Identification Authority is broken down into 5 prongs. First is to register all Ghanaians living in Ghana and abroad, as well as all foreigners who are permanently resident in Ghana defined by law as those living here for 90 days or longer, and who are not diplomats or the representatives of international non-governmental organizations. Our duty is also to issue the citizens of Ghana and such qualified foreigners with national identity cards, commonly known as a Ghana card. Third, it is our mandate to create and maintain a national identity database, which we must ensure has accuracy, has integrity, has confidentiality, and is secure at all times so that the data is protected. And finally, it is our bounden duty to make data in our custody available to persons and institutions mandated or authorized by law to receive data from us. Mr. Chairman, the mandate of the NIA is pursued within a legal framework that is governed, a legal framework passed by this very honorable House, various laws that I will not get into for now. But the operational framework operates along this line, that the registration mandate, the communication and stakeholder engagement mandate, the public education, the enforcement of the applicable laws, and revenue generation are the foremost duties of the National Identification Authority. NIA's partner, Identity Management Systems 2 Limited, has the duty of designing and building the technical infrastructure, supplying the data and biometric capture equipment, providing card printing infrastructure for instant and deferred issuance, providing smart cards and consumables for the personalization of cards, and providing a global verification infrastructure, and not least, providing operational support and maintenance to NIA as it conducts its public registration activities. Pursuant to the laws establishing NIA, NIA conducted a mass registration exercise between 29 April 2019, and the one-year program was truncated by COVID-19 pandemic outbreak, thereby prolonging it beyond the 28th March 2020 deadline by which we should have completed the work. NIA subsequently conducted a mop-up registration exercise between 10th June 2020 and 11th September 2020. From the 3rd of June 2021, NIA conducted a 3-month expedited card issuance blitz with the goal of ensuring that registered applicants received their cards ahead of the commencement of the SIM card registration exercise, which had been slated for October of 2021. We then subsequently established 2 fee-paying registration services from the 1st of July 2020. These were institutional registration at a cost of 100 Ghana cedis per applicant for a minimum of 50 applicants, and household registration at a fee of 150 Ghana cedis per applicant for a minimum of 7 applicants. This used to be 5 applicants until July of 2022. And this allows applicants to be registered in the comfort of their offices, homes, or other places of choice. These services were planned to coexist with the free continuous registration services which were provided at the end at each of NIA's 292 offices nationwide. Right Honorable Speaker, we've also established premium registration services. In October 2021, we established premium registration at our head office in Accra at a fee of 250 Ghana cedis, coexisting with the free services available at all our offices. The Premium Center was to provide an additional option for prospective applicants willing to acquire their cards in relative comfort and convenience at a fee. It is additional, I emphasize, Right Honourable Speaker, to the free arrangements that exist by law. NIA established a premium registration center also at the head office of Cal Bank in Accra in March 2022. In February of this year, NIA established premium registration centers in Koforidua, Kumasi, and Takoradi. An enrollment performance of these premium centers is being observed to guide the potential establishment of such centers in Cape Coast, Ho, Tamale, and other regional capitals of the nation. Right Honourable Speaker, Members of Parliament, the National Identification Authority established on 3rd November 2021, 16 regional offices and 276 operational district offices simultaneously. Each district office is coterminous with a constituency, including Seoul. The offices have adequate registration and printing equipment, but skeletal staff. The offices require additional personnel and vehicles to function more effectively. Right Honourable Speaker, permit me at this point to turn my attention to pertinent registration statistics. Right Honourable Speaker, NIA as at February 2017 had registered 4,554,528 Ghanaians. It had printed the cards of 2,719,425 Ghanaians and issued 900,000 cards to Ghanaians. Right Honourable Speaker, you fast forward to 19 February 2023, and the following is the profile. 17,375,861 Ghanaians have been registered or captured onto the National Identity Database. The total number of cards printed by the National Identification Authority is 16,737,734. And the total number of cards collected is 16,095,331. Right Honourable Speaker, it's important to also point out that the cards that were being given us at 2017 were basically 2D barcode cards, pretty much like your old driver's license. It captured 4 fingerprints, had 2 kilobyte storage capacity, and no tracking number. In 2017, and particularly beginning in 2019, the cards that we have been issuing are dual interface smart cards, capturing 10 fingerprints, which is the current global standard, and has 128 storage capacity and a tracking number. Mr. Speaker, Right Honourable Speaker, the registration statistics as projected here covers the entire nation with the region by region, a total enrolled being the 17,375,861 that I spoke about. And there is also region by region and district by district breakdown of the statistics. When I'm done during questions, or if there is interest, we can go to the Excel on the specific regions and districts. Suffice it to say for now, Right Honourable Speaker, that based on the Ghana Statistical Service 2020 population and housing census data, approximately 31 million Ghanaians. There are approximately 31 million Ghanaians. Of this number, as I've indicated, 17,375,861 have been captured onto the National Identity Register database. And this figure represents the cohort of the population aged 15 years and above. Of the number, that is, of the 17,375,861, the number of Ghanaians aged 18 years and above captured in the database is 16.9 million. 16.9 million out of the 17.375 million. And the number of registered Ghanaians aged 18 years and above existing on the Electoral Commission's voters register, we are informed, is 17,029,000. 17,029,000 people on the EC voters register. The number of Ghanaians aged 15 years and above who are yet to be captured out of the total population of 31 million is 2,565,705. Mr. Chairman, it bears repeating, Right Honourable Speaker, my apologies, it bears repeating that the number of Ghanaians aged 15 years and captured onto the NIR, the National Identity Register, is 17.3 million. Of this, the number of cards printed but not collected by the applicants stands at 642,403 nationwide. 642,403 nationwide. The number of cards not yet printed, that is, persons who have registered, whose records are with the NIA, but whose cards have not yet been printed, stands at 541,529. Right Honourable Speaker, kindly permit me to explain that this figure, 541,529, represents the financial difficulties we have had lately, beginning approximately in July, August of last year, that resulted in our inability to get access to some 3.5 million blank cards that we have ordered into the country, which are currently in bonded warehouses, brought into the country by our technical partners, but we are unable to access them because of financial constraints. The banks that have basically bankrolled that purchase and importation have to be paid, and it had become a bit of financial constipation, which constipation has also given us some headaches. Right Honourable Speaker, the assurance we have for the people of Ghana is that the National Identification Authority has the technical and operational competence to print these 541,529 cards in record time once this financial constipation is relieved. Printing capacity per printer per day is conservatively 100, but we can do 160, we can do 120, and the plan that I'll be sharing with this August House takes the middle cost of 120. But the most minimum conservative figure, if you use 100 printers, one printer per day can do 100 cards. Number of cards printable per day using 500 printers will give you 50,000 cards. And the number of printers required to print 541,000 cards will be 500. And the number of days required to do that will be 11 days. And the number of functional printers available is a minimum of 1,000. Right Honourable Speaker, the following constitutes the plan, therefore, to print the cards. NIA intends to print approximately rounding it off to 542,000 records in the system, because that was 19 February when I gave the statistics. Between then and now, it is reasonable to presume that it would have reached 542,000. The records in the system across the country can be printed and will be printed within 11 days using 5 500 printers at the NI headquarters, where we intend to use the concept of a print farm. The cards will be centrally printed at the headquarters and distributed to the regional and district offices for issuance to registered applicants. Right Honourable Speaker, again, NI has the technical and operational competence to print and issue the cards. We are ready to deliver on this important mandate. However, Right Honourable Speaker, the fulfillment of the attainment of this goal also depends on the fulfillment of a number of conditions precedent. First, the Ministry of Finance will complete the payment of the 100 million to Identity Management Systems Limited and CalBank. I say will because I have evidence confirmed by CalBank that they have received 80 million of the 100 million Ghana cedis promised as part of the payment plan that we have agreed with them. IMS2 and CalBank have confirmed receipt of the 80 million. Ministry of Finance has informed NIA that the remaining 20 million will be paid most probably by close of business today. CalBank will then release a portion of the 3.5 million blank cards in bonded warehouse to NIA through IMS for the card printing. And the Ministry of Finance will provide additional funding of about 173,000 cedis to support the expedited card printing exercise that I have just spoken about. Right Honourable Speaker, the plan is that NIA will engage 100 card verification officers for this exercise, and each card verification officer will staff 5 printers or manage 5 printers per day. We have a number of assumptions. I'm not sure that there is interest in going through all of these assumptions, but these are operational assumptions underpinning the work that we intend to do. And so over a period of 10 to 11 days, we will print the cards. We will set up technical teams that will ensure that this mandate is delivered. The budget for that detail is provided in this table. Suffice it to say, Mr. Right Honourable Speaker, that by way of a reminder, there are about 17 mandatory uses of the Ghana card. In other words, there are about 17 activities in which a person cannot engage in Ghana if a person does not possess the Ghana card. One of them is the application for a passport, application and issuance of a passport, of a driver's license, of insurance policies, any banking transaction, whether it is personal or commercial, the purchase, transfer, and registration of land, including landed properties of all kinds, then transactions that are specified under the National Health Insurance System, the pensions, Social Security and National Insurance Trust, consumer credit, and under Regulation 7 and 8, as I'm reading, registration of voters, payment of taxes, registration of SIM cards, and indeed applications for public or government services, facilities, approvals, and permissions and benefits, as well as any other transaction that the governing board of NIA may specify. And so school feeding and access to busing services and the rest of them may all be potential subjects, transactions for which the card is required. Other facilities and services currently under consideration of the governing board is the work of the registration service under the Lands Commission, the National Service Secretariat, and the Student Loan Scheme, with whom we have advanced considerably discussions on onboarding them in this regard. Right Honourable Speaker, we also have established a verification platform, and this verification platform enables banks and other institutions to verify the identities of individuals. So the Bank of Ghana and other financial institutions, all 24 universal banks in Ghana, are onboarded onto our verification system. 146 rural banks and community banks are all onboarded, 16 savings and loans, 16 fintechs, 5 finance houses, and 3 microfinance institutions. We've also onboarded the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, the Ghana Revenue Authority, the National Health Insurance Authority, the Electoral Commission at an advanced stage of onboarding, and the Ghana Immigration Service, all the telcos, the National Service Secretariat, the Student Loans Trust, and the Passport Office, and the DBLA. Mr. Chairman, as Right Honourable Speaker, as I indicated earlier, 17.3 million Ghanaians have their data and biometrics stored on the National Identity Register or NI database. This provides us as a nation with a single, trusted, accurate, and verifiable database. With a single, accurate, and trusted, and verifiable national database. Indeed, Right Honourable Speaker, since verification started, over 120 million verification requests have been processed in real time, and there has not been a single hitch or a single failure. It is a colossal achievement that this country ought to be very proud of. With respect to the integration of our database with EC, the hope is that it will help eliminate the cost of periodic voter register compilation, card issuance, and voter verification, depending on which of these options the EC will independently select to pursue. But it will also result in the issuance of secure ID smart cards with 10-year life cycles, if this were ever to be considered. But most importantly, it will eliminate concerns over voter fraud due to the high integrity of our database. There will be no duplication of voter ID and determination of eligibility based on age, based on citizenship, and also based on the person's identity, that you will be who you say you are. It will also enhance inclusiveness due to the fast, accurate, and enrollment and verification system that is embodied in what we have done. Both online and offline activities, whether you have your card present or not, you can engage in registration activities. But most importantly, credibility of the voter register that will establish the eligibility of applicants, will clean the register to remove names of deceased persons. Indeed, the system we have built will enable the next of kin of deceased persons to be known when the fingerprint of a deceased person is applied to a verification device. And it will help us purge the register of minors and save us a headache of conducting periodic and continuous voter registration exercises. The benefits are plenty, but I will save you because the chairperson of the Electoral Commission has spoken very eloquently about the benefits of using the Ghana card to register. Right Honourable Speaker, we will have data harmonization and integration with the various institutions I mentioned, and this will bring us tremendous benefits. Birth and Death Registry, the Passport Office, and if you look at the landscape across the African continent, we are one of the very few places where this high-level smart dual interface biometric ID cards with this kind of biometric database has been established. It is our hope, Mr. Chairman, Right Honourable Speaker, that this presentation assures this Honourable House that the National Identification Authority is poised, is ready, and able to provide and deliver on its mandate, subject to the provision of the much-needed financial support that is warranted. I thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker, members of this august House. Thank you for your attention and for your courtesy. We're most grateful.
Honourable members, on your behalf, I want to thank the chairperson and the executive secretary of the Electoral Commission and the National Identification Authority for the presentations. We've got copies of the presentation of the chairperson of the Electoral Commission. And so I'll direct that copies be distributed now. Immediately after that, the Minister for Finance will now respond to the provided, and they say provided that some things are made available to the National Identification Authority. They are capable of doing 1, 2, 3. So the Minister for Finance will have to respond to that. Then we'll listen to members on the issues that have been identified. So now the distribution will go on. When you finish the distribution, then the minister can come in. If we do them together, there will be interruption. So now it's a period for the distribution of copies of the presentation of the Electoral Commission. Please make sure you all get your copy.
So the Speaker of Parliament has just directed that the copies of the presentation, as has been made by Madam Jane Mensah, is distributed to honourable members of Parliament. Also just gone by, we heard from Kenneth Atefua, Professor Kenneth Atefua. He is the Executive Secretary of the National Identification Authority. He has been promising that the NIA has the capability of expediting printing of the cards so that all citizens will get the needed cards before the Electoral Commission will begin the registration if this CI goes through. So right after this distribution of cards, distribution of statements that has been made by the chairperson of the EC is done, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta will be invited to make a statement to MPs on some of the financial considerations that have been raised in the presentation by the NIA. But just as a recap of some of the things that have been happening, we are all aware that over the last few days, the minority have been up in arms. They've been inviting Madam Jane Mensah herself to appear before Parliament to brief MPs on the situation. The Ghana card is being sort of as the document that will be used to register citizens. And so if this year goes through, if you do not have the Ghana card, you cannot register as a voter. So finally today, Madam Jane Mensah appeared and she's been explaining that the new CI will allow for an all-year-round registration. And that if this CI goes through, there will be registration all year round. She's also been saying that using the Ghana card will rid the register of minors and non-citizens. She says that if this Ghana card is used as the sole identity document to register as a voter, then Ghana's voters' roll will be rid of minors and non-citizens. She says that the EC has no plan of disenfranchising eligible voters, and that claims that that is what this new CI is going to do is not accurate, and that the NIA has assured them that more registrations are set to be made, and that by the time this CI goes through and the limited registration happens, more Ghanaians or all eligible Ghanaians would have had their Ghana card and can go to EC's district offices to register. She says that the Ghana card will not be used as a voter's ID, but that it will only be used as the means to do so. So the voter's ID will not be the Ghana card, but it will be the Ghana card that you will need to register as a voter. And that explanation is what she has been offering. Ultimately, she's been making the point that the reason why the Ghana card must be used as a sole identity document is because the guarantor system, as it used to to be has been abused, that there were people who were registering minors, non-citizens, and guaranteeing for them. And because of this, that is why they want to use the Ghana card as the sole identity document. But we've also been hearing from Ken Atifa, who says they're going to expedite printing, the conditions precedent. They have some amount of money that the finance minister must clear. Yesterday, Joy News broke that news to you, that up to 3.5 million Ghana cards belonging to the NIA and the Margins Group have all now been seized by banks because the NIA is indebted to them to the tune of 100 million. Today, Ken Atifa has been confirming that. He says that the finance minister has been assuring them that they will clear this debt, and that they are also fully in support of this EC decision to make the Ghana card the sole identity document, because it will rid the EC's register of minors, of non-Ghanaians. So that has been the lowdown here in Parliament. Ken Atifa, in the short, speaking to his director of operations, they say that they are ready and willing to print all the cards that are outstanding to register all Ghanaians who have not yet been registered, so that the registration will go ahead with the new ECCI. So when the Speaker of Parliament returns, we expect that the distribution of the EC boss's statement has now been fully made. And so Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta will be invited to give some assurance on the financial aspects of this matter. Is he able to commit that Government of Ghana will provide all the necessary resources for the National Identification Authority to be able to register? And so Ken Ofori-Atta, in your short, he is reading his brief as of now, and when the Speaker comes, he will invite him to make that presentation. His deputy, Abinal Siasari, behind him. Last week, it was said that if Ken Ofori-Atta was not even available, that Abinal Siasari will be able to hold forth for him. So the Speaker of Parliament is making his way back into the chamber. Now that distributions has now been made to all MPs regarding the statement that was delivered on the floor by Madam Jane Mensah, the Minister for Finance will now make the necessary commitment. So this is a committee of the whole. This is not your usual parliamentary sitting, and that is why you see that the Speaker of Parliament not sitting in his usual chair. He's sitting where the clerks at table will usually sit, and he is now the committee chairman of the committee of the whole, and he's coming to make some consequential orders. So the Speaker of Parliament will hand you over to the chamber just about now as the Finance Minister makes his commitments.
Copies have been distributed, and
so any moment from now, we will hear from Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta to provide the needed assurances to the effect that the NIA will get all the needed resources. And then when the Finance Minister speaks, we expect that the members on both the minority and majority side will be invited to speak sort of on the specific presentation that has now been made by Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. All along this minority side and their issues with this Ghana card to be used as a sole identity document has been led by former minority leader Haruna Idrisu. Last week he was on the floor and engaged in some spirited debate as to the reasons why the EC must not be allowed to use the Ghana card as the sole identity document. He is here, and we expect that he will speak. I've seen Governors Kwame Agboja, the minority chief whip, compiling their list of speakers. They will hand that over to the speaker. The majority side will do the same, and then that it's not a debate strictly speaking, but it will be comments because there's a committee meeting. That kind of contribution, maybe the appropriate word, will then come in, and then the discussion will go on. We expect that Dr. Dominic Ayini, Mahama Ayariga, as well as Ahmed Ibrahim, the deputy minority whip, will all speak on the minority side before Alexander Afenyo-Markin, Seche Mensah-Bonsu himself. I see Joe Gatti on the floor today. Patrick Boama is also around. Some of the key persons on both sides to contribute to this debate. So you're still live here on Joy News. We are giving you live coverage from Parliament. This is the committee of the whole sitting. This is not strictly speaking a parliamentary sitting where the Speaker of Parliament sits up there and conducts sitting. This is a committee meeting, but it's a committee of the whole House with all MPs present. Today the attendance is very impressive. Almost all MPs on both sides of the aisle are here for what the Speaker has described as a very, very, very important national security matter. Already you've heard the minority say that if the EC is allowed to go ahead and use the Ghana card as the sole identity document to register citizens to vote, there will be chaos because eligible Ghanaians will be disenfranchised. They've been arguing that the Ghana card is not accessible to all citizens as we speak. We know that per law, the persons who are allowed to register or enroll onto the Ghana card are persons who are 15 years and above, who are Ghanaians. Even non-Ghanaians are allowed to register, but of course they do not vote in the country. So the distribution of the documents as to the presentation that was made by Madam Jean Mensah, who has made her way to Parliament all the way from Nigeria, where she was part of that observer mission monitoring that Nigerian election. She just made a presentation on the floor. We've also heard from the NIA. Very shortly, we'll be hearing from Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. His job is to give some sort of assurances that government will release the needed funds for the EC to undertake, for the NIA to undertake this registration, and that the 100 million cedis that the that the NIA owes its bankers, for which reason these cards have been seized, will be cleared. It will be cleared in time for the registrations to happen. So this has been such a contentious matter here in Parliament on both sides of the House. Last week, it nearly led MPs to fisticuffs. They were at each other's throat, to each other's necks. They nearly fought. Of course, the cameras were not in at the time because of this committee who the Deputy Speaker was presiding at the time determined that media men were not going to be allowed into the chamber because of that committee of the whole. Today, the Minority Chief Whip Gavins Kwame Agboja made an appeal to the Speaker. It is for this reason that we're able to bring you this live coverage. Of course, the majority side did not oppose this. Of course, they quoted part of the standing orders that allows the Speaker to do so, and it is on that the Speaker ruled that journalists are allowed to be in the chamber. So we'll hear shortly from the Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. We'll hear from former Minority Leader MP for Tamale South Haruna Idrisu. We'll also hear from Mahama Yarga. We'll hear from Dr. Dominic Ayeni. We'll likely also hear from Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa. These are the persons who may be leading the charge for the minority on this issue. The majority side will also present their list, and we understand that these lists have already gone to the Speaker. These are persons who are going to speak to the specifics of the presentation that have been made by Madam Jean Mensah. That is the sticking point. That is the main issue that is under consideration here, because it is the Electoral Commission that is seeking to lay this new document in Parliament. It is this new CI, if approved, if it goes through, if it is laid here, it would have to go through 21 sitting days, and if it is not annulled by 2/3 of all MPs, then that CI will come into effect. It will become law, and it will be the instrument that the Electoral Commission will use to register voters, will use to organize the forthcoming district level elections. So that is the lowdown here. Electoral Commission has been defending strenuously that proposal to make the Ghana card the sole identity document. Madam Jean Mensah herself has been speaking. She says that without this, more minors, more foreigners, and people who are not eligible to register as voters will go on to Ghana's voter register. It is for this reason that it is important that a Ghana card is made the sole identity document to enroll as a voter. And so that has been the sticking point in Parliament today. Of course, there were brief periods of heckling by the minority side. The MP for Tamale Central was asked to withdraw some statement, and so the Speaker of Parliament is taking back the gavel, and he